Some people think life is just this: be born, work, pay bills, and wait for the weekend. But what if I told you the universe is trying to talk to you right now? That behind those strange little coincidences in your day, like seeing the same numbers over and over, or feeling like something big is about to happen, there's an urgent, invisible, but very real spiritual calling. And here's the wild part. A lot of people feel this, but ignore it. And then they get lost in routine, never really understanding why life feels incomplete, even when everything seems right on paper. This video isn't just more mystical talk. We're about to unlock codes. I'm going to reveal 7 spiritual signs that, if you've been noticing them, mean your awakening has already begun, and you might be living the most important moment of your journey without even realizing it. And no, it's not just in your head. Carl Jung spoke about this. Einstein did too. Synchronicities are clues, and if you ignore them, you might get stuck in a cycle that no longer belongs to you. But if you recognize these signs, understand what they mean, and start to act from that awareness, you can experience a shift in consciousness that changes everything from the inside out. So if you feel like something's shifting, if everything's been feeling more intense, if the universe has been acting way too weird to be random, stick with me. Because maybe what you need isn't an answer out there, but a confirmation in here. Reality is speaking to you, and you're finally starting to listen. During a synchronic awakening, something fascinating starts to shift in the way you perceive the world. Suddenly, what used to feel random begins to make sense. Not in a logical way, but in a vibrational one. You look at the clock and see 11:11, then 22:22. Then someone calls and brings up exactly what you were just thinking about. Coincidence? Not anymore. These spiritual signs start showing up like personalized messages from the universe. Life becomes a mirror. What you feel inside starts to reflect outside, as if reality itself had been reprogrammed to speak directly to your soul. At first, this can be a little overwhelming. Imagine waking up one day and realizing the song playing on the radio holds the answer you've been needing, or that a random page in an old book delivers the exact insight that dissolves your inner conflict. And it doesn't stop there. You walk down the street and see a sign with a phrase that feels like it was written just for you. It might sound like a stretch to those who haven't experienced it, but for someone going through a true spiritual awakening, these synchronicities become so specific, it's impossible to ignore. Reality starts speaking. And for the first time, you're actually listening. And once that happens, you realize nothing will ever be the same. You begin to feel guided by something unseen, a higher intelligence, like you've gained access to a new layer of life. That's when the questions begin to surface. Am I losing my mind? Is this even real? But deep down, in a place beyond logic, you know, it's too real to be made up. These spiritual signs are just the beginning, an introduction to something far greater. And this new way of experiencing reality, this new frequency, is only the start of a calling that's about to grow stronger. The sense of spiritual urgency, a calling that burns from within. There comes a moment when something inside you starts to scream. It's not regular anxiety. It's not boredom or restlessness. It's a silent fire, an inner discomfort that rises from the soul. This is one of the most powerful spiritual signs because it doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. You begin to feel like you're living a life that no longer fits. You need to get out, change habits, move to a new place, surround yourself with new energy, new people. And most of the time, you don't even know where to start. You just know you can't keep going like before. This internal calling marks a key part of the awakening process. It's the moment your journey becomes conscious. Spiritual urgency doesn't knock politely. It invades. It feels like you're late for something important, like there's a forgotten mission waiting for you to remember. And everything around you starts to feel too small. The job that once satisfied you now suffocates. Shallow conversations become unbearable. Your Instagram feed feels like noise. Your soul begins to crave depth, truth, vibrational freedom. And this craving doesn't come with words, it comes with feelings. A tightness in the chest, a longing to disappear for a few days just to hear your own heart speak. Anyone who's felt this knows. It's not drama. It's your soul's code trying to be decoded. This is when people start searching for answers, and not logical ones, but vibrational ones. You feel drawn to meditate, to read books like The Power of Now or The Celestine Prophecy, to be silent, to visit places that elevate your energy. You begin to sense that you're being called towards something bigger. And here's the thing, the more you ignore this calling, the louder life starts to push. Relationships grow unstable, uncomfortable situations repeat, and your soul starts shouting louder and louder. Because when a synchronic awakening begins, it refuses to be ignored. Losses, breakdowns, and unexpected plot twists, everything feels like it's falling apart. When a synchronic awakening enters its most intense phase, the universe begins to act like a cleaner of outdated files. And yes, it hurts. You start losing things, people, situations, as if life is stripping away everything that no longer resonates with your new frequency. And it doesn't matter how hard you try to hold on, friendships naturally fade, relationships lose meaning, jobs that once felt stable become unbearable. It feels like a phase of chaos, but in truth, it's a deep realignment. These spiritual signs don't show up to punish you, they show up to free you. And they do it in the clearest and often most painful way possible, by breaking everything that no longer belongs to this new cycle. It's easy to feel like a victim in the middle of it all. No one likes to watch their life fall apart without explanation. But here's the truth. The universe never takes away anything that hasn't already fulfilled its role. When your soul begins to vibrate at a different frequency, everything out of sync must be cleared. Think of a perfectly tuned orchestra, and in the middle of it, one instrument playing off-beat. To restore harmony, something has to change. That's what spiritual awakening feels like. The chaos is just the maestro rearranging things so your inner symphony can finally play in full alignment. And sometimes that means letting go of people or attachments you once thought were forever. During this phase, many feel like they've lost their footing. But that's exactly when the old structure needs to fall, so the new one can rise. It's what Joseph Campbell called the descent into the cave, the moment when the hero faces the darkness. But right there in the middle of collapse, the first sparks of synchronicity begin to appear, like little flashlights in the dark. A message, a chance meeting, a sentence from a stranger. Life begins to guide you step by step, even when everything feels uncertain. And that's when, without fully understanding it, you begin to realize there's something greater behind all this unraveling. Heightened intuition, vivid dreams, and unexpected messages. As a synchronic awakening deepens, the logical mind begins to step aside, making room for something much deeper. Intuition. You start feeling before you think. You know what's going to happen before it does. You know who's about to call, which path to take, what to say, without knowing how you know. Vivid dreams begin to show up, full of powerful symbols, strange places you've never seen, yet feel somehow familiar. You wake up with the sense that something important was revealed, and these spiritual signs become so frequent, the invisible starts to feel more real than the visible. Many people begin receiving messages through the smallest details. A YouTube video randomly recommended with the exact answer to a long-held question. A book that keeps appearing over and over until you finally read it. And of course, every page feels like it's speaking directly to your soul. A child says something unexpected, a phrase that sounds like it came from another dimension. In those moments, your heart expands, your mind quiets down, and you begin trusting more in what you feel than in what you read or hear. It's as if the universe has installed a new inner GPS, and your compass is no longer logical, it's vibrational. At this point, many feel called to explore, to meditate more deeply, to write down what they're feeling, to track dreams, to notice the patterns that arise through synchronicity. Keeping a spiritual journal can be incredibly transformative at this stage. Something simple like jotting down dates, phrases, sensations, and coincidences that show up in daily life. Because when everything seems to come out of nowhere, that's when it's actually coming from everything. And the most magical part? This is just the universe training you for the next phase. The one where you no longer need signs to know you're on the right path. You're no longer afraid of the future, because something inside you already knows. At a certain point in a synchronic awakening, something quiet but powerful shifts inside you. The fear begins to fade. Not because your external life suddenly got easier, but because internally something has stabilized. It's as if you've tapped into a frequency where chaos just doesn't affect you the same way anymore. The worries about the future, the panic over decisions, the anxiety to control everything, they start to lose their grip. Your soul begins to trust an invisible flow that, even without logic, feels right. And that trust isn't blind, it's ancient. It comes from within. It knows. Even if the world is falling apart on the outside, on the inside, everything is still. And this peace, it's not passive, it's alive, vibrant, powerful. You feel like you can adapt, create, reinvent yourself. And even if everything goes wrong, you'll find a way through. Why? Because you've started to realize you're not alone. That everything you've lived, the highs, the lows, the breakthroughs and the breakdowns, was part of something greater. Synchronicities keep showing up like gentle reminders. The universe is active, aware, and with you. And the more you notice it, the more it becomes clear. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. And when you live from that truth, fear doesn't stand a chance. That's when a new identity begins to take shape, not based on titles, possessions, or external validation, but on presence, on vibration, on truth. You begin to see yourself as part of something far greater, and that changes everything. You live the present with intensity, but without anxiety. You make plans, but stay flexible. You love, but without attachment. Everything flows more lightly because you know you're being guided. And maybe for the first time, you feel like you don't need to have all the answers because everything that really matters, you already know, even if you can't quite explain it yet. Now that you recognize these 7 spiritual signs, the question is, are you going to ignore them or act on them? Because the truth is, a synchronic awakening doesn't wait. It gives you hints. It nudges you. It calls you. But if you keep pretending not to notice, life will find a way to wake you up by force. And that's when it hurts. But if you answer the call, if you decide to look inward and follow your intuition, everything changes. Have you stopped to wonder why these synchronicities are showing up for you right now? Is it really a coincidence, or is your soul knocking on the door, begging to be heard? Let me ask you this. Are you going to keep living on autopilot, waiting for everything to align before you change? Or are you going to use this awareness to create a life that matches who you really are? Who do you want to be from this point forward? Someone who ignores the signs, or someone who wakes up to something far bigger than goals, bills, and routine? If this message resonated with you, drop a comment below and tell me, which one of these signs did you recognize most in your own life? Share your experience, because your story might light the path for someone else. And if you want to keep growing on this journey of spiritual awakening, synchronicity, vibrational energy, and expanded consciousness, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every video is another step toward breaking free from autopilot and living with real purpose. The journey is just beginning.